and welcome to Hello, This is the Doom Show. We are at our special, glorious anniversary 7th episode. I am Richard.
I'm Brad.
And welcome once again to our famous show. A show so amazing, an episode so important that we decided to do it twice. Redux. We had an abortive 7th episode last weekend. We decided to delete it without even listening to it and start fresh. Because you know what? Shit happens.
It's like one of those, it's like an episode of a TV show where it starts at the beginning and like all the main characters are laying around, they look dead or they've been knocked out or something's happened, and then all of a sudden it says 12 hours earlier and they explain what happened at the end of it, the last our attempt at this. That's the way I felt. I'm like, what happened? Like I was drugged or insane.
As far as our show goes, it was pretty bad, but it was the best episode of Dallas ever. Damn. So, today's episode is about the 1962 Italian Gothic horror masterpiece, The Horrible Secret of Dr. Hitchcock, also known as The Terror of Dr. Hitchcock. But we'll get to that in a moment. Brad, what have you been watching lately?
Let's see. I watched Nothing On Underneath, which was a mid-'80s giallo with the infamous Donald Pleasance at the Wendy's salad bar scene. And see, when you kept saying that, I thought, well, he's going to be at like a fast foodie type salad bar. Hell no. It's a Wendy's. He sits down, he tucks a printed Wendy's napkin into his shirt like a bib. And I'm like, this is so crazy surreal. But no, it was, as far as like outside of Argento, or, perhaps Lamberto Lambala. It was a really good mid-'80s giallo, I thought. I enjoyed it.
I love Donald Pleasance at Wendy's, man. That was...
I'm telling you, it was crazy.
Of course, the movie's worth watching. Great ending.
Yeah, the ending was spectacular. I did enjoy that quite a bit.
There was some...
My wife said something funny. I can't repeat it because it would be a spoiler for those that might eventually seek that out. But, I ran across a site this week, a blog from a guy about the film The Shining. And to put this as succinctly as I possibly can, he has quite a few ideas about the film. It's a very lengthy blog post. I read it. My wife read it, and then we watched The Shining last night and tried to, discern if this guy had anything, if he was correct on a number of things. But yeah, we really enjoyed The Shining once again last night. The Shining, something that I didn't like much as a kid. I thought it had some really scary parts in it, but it was kind of boring. But the older I get, the more I see it, the more I really enjoy The Shining.
Yeah, I think that blog, I think that post was like 15,000 words or something.
It was, and that I thought it was his entire site, but that's really just one post. He had additional posts to it. Okay,
I got it up here. It is Johnny, spelled Jonny, Johnny's 53.blogspot.com, but you could probably search for, on Google, what you may or may not have seen in The Shining. And that's, Johnny's 53 blogspot. It is crazy good. I mean, it's insane. I mean, it's bordering on madness, but it's really fun. It's a lot of fun.
I don't agree with all of his assertions, but it kind of falls into 4 categories. 1, I agree with him on some things. 2, things he said are interesting enough for me to check out and see that if I agree with. Then 3, things I don't agree with him on. And then 4, that's just crazy. But I would suggest anybody that, enjoys The Shining to read that and then watch The Shining again and see what you think.
Yeah, there's a lot of numbers stuff, and that always scares me when someone goes all number 23 a la Jim Carrey on a film. And when anyone excuse me. when anyone is analyzing something and they get into the numbers game and the numbers keep adding up over and over again, I have to tune out. So that kind of bothered me, but there's a lot of really cool stuff. So much, in fact, that I decided to correct something. I realized I didn't own The Shining. That, having watched The Shining 1,000 times as a kid and as an adult, and once it slipped out of my collection, it never has come back. So I corrected that and I ordered The Shining. So I'll be drinking the Kool-Aid on that one pretty soon.
I got to tell you, I think that if you had no idea of the existence of this blog post that he put, there's plenty to analyze in The Shining anyway on your own.
Definitely.
And I think probably horror fans will be analyzing it for a long time to come.
Hell yeah.
I remember my friend Carl had read some things in the early days of the internet on The Shining, and he would parse out facts about it, and I would be like, "Oh, come on, tell me something else about The Shining." And he had read about the scene where the guy in the animal suit and with the other guy on the bed.
Oh yeah.
And man, it was just like I said, it was the early days of the internet, and I was fairly young too, and we had a lot of fun with it.
There's just something magical about that scene. When you can check into a hotel and you and your buddy can hang out, get some champagne. You can put on your tux, and your buddy can put on his looks like a wild boar costume, and just blow you. That's pretty special. I feel pretty good about that.
Something I noticed last night that I don't know that I noticed before, but the guy in the animal suit, his ass flap is open. Seriously. Like it's got like in the old school Long Johns where you got the ass flap where you go to the bathroom.
Hey, I know about the ass flap, my friend.
I'm telling you, but we've got it on Blu-ray. Maybe that's the reason that I noticed, because it was much more clear. I don't know, but I'm like, holy crap, his ass flap is open.
Dude, can you imagine being that guy on the set and Kubrick's just standing there? All right, Matty.
You're gonna blow this dude, and you're gonna do it while your ass flap is open.
Hey, it's called keeping your options open. All right.
I guess.
Whew. What else have you been watching?
We're headed for a third recording of this episode already.
I doubt it. This is too good. What else did you watch, sir?
Well, let's see. This week we watched something that I know you watched, and I'll let you go ahead and go into the details of that. But we did watch Don't Look Now from 1973.
Oh yes.
Which is underrated by me, and I've seen it. It's like I always forget about Don't Look Now. There's a lot of giallo-esque things going on in that film, and of course it's notorious for the sex scene, which it's relatively tame.
Oh yeah, it's by today's standards, yeah.
I can see how it would be shocking then, but of course you and I talked about all the films that we thought kind of reminded us of Don't Look Now.
Oh yes. Well, since Brad watched Don't Look Now, I decided to get out my copy, which took me only 10 minutes to flocate. It sounded like I said flocate. Took me 10 minutes to flocate it. And when I found it, I was very happy. And I hadn't seen it in, I would guess, somewhere between 17 or 18 years. So a very long time ago on cable when I was a young lad. And all I remembered was a few images along the way and the ending. I wish I'd forgotten the endings. The ending of Don't Look Now is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't help but notice something strange about Don't Look Now. It's listed as 1973. And I believe Who Saw Her Die, the pretty awesome giallo, is 1972.
Really?
But, you know what? Let me just take a second so I don't sound like a total dipshit.
They're very similar films, and of course I found out that once you set a horror film in Venice, they kind of, because we watched The Comfort of Strangers this week too, which is a 1990 film by Paul Schrader. It's got Christopher Walken and Rupert Everett and Natasha Richardson in it.
Is that in Venice?
It's a thriller set in Venice.
Oh, I didn't know that. I need to see that. But yeah, Who Saw Her Die, 1972. It just has so many similarities to Don't Look Now that, this is a judgment call here, but I don't think I've ever heard of anyone, ripping off an Italian movie. So I'm guessing this is going to sound bizarre, but I think that the producers of Who Saw Her Die saw promotional stills from the upcoming Don't Look Now and rushed something in production to have their own version because it is so similar. I mean, you have this couple who's, they're kind of estranged. They're in Venice. There's the death of a child that haunts the whole thing. There's a mystery involved. There's murders. There's a scary priest character, that I won't say anything more about. But there's so many things kept adding up. It was driving me freaking crazy. Oh man, is there a solid connection between these movies or not? There has to be something. But it just seemed like they came up with their own idea of what the movie was going to be like. And of course, who would have known how experimental and bizarre Don't Look Now was going to be?
The editing in that is just really amazing.
Oh, and that's what's so great about the sex scene is that it's intercut with the two of them, the Donald Sutherland and Julie Christie. Mm-hmm. They're getting ready to go out, and the way they cut it together was really amazing. It's and it was funny because I was watching this very hot and heavy scene with my wife and mother-in-law, and my mother-in-law's like, what is going on? It's the way this is edited is really confusing. And of course I was a smart ass, and I was like, well, this couple's having sex.
When a man loves a woman.
And then afterwards, they're getting ready to go out. But the editor has edited the two scenes together, and she goes, oh, is that how editing works? So, yeah. My wife was really tired, so she missed it. But my mother-in-law and I finished watching it, and we both really loved it. She's like, what is going on? I'm like, you'll see. You'll see. And all I can say is I wish I could erase the memory of that movie, especially the awesome ending, and just watch it again without having a clue what's going to happen because, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Here's an interesting piece of trivia for you about Don't Look Now. There's a scene with and I don't have his name, so I'm not as prepared as I should be, but there's a guy in it. It's a very, very, very small part. He's only in one scene. And he also plays the uniformed cop in The Living Dead of Manchester Morgue.
Thank you. Oh, I was trying to figure out who that guy was and where I'd seen him before.
Well, the tricky part on top of that is that to me, and it may just be me, he looks like Benicio del Toro.
He's got a little bit of Del Toro about him.
He looks like a tall, beefy Del Toro to me. But I went to IMDb and searched around because he's a bit player in that, and I could not remember what his name was, Inspector or, detective or whatever in The Living Dead of Manchester Morgue. But no, he's in both of those, and he's also in some other things that I cannot remember at the moment. But he was in some spaghetti westerns and I think a couple of other giallos. But yeah, there's a nice little piece of trivia.
His name is Giorgio Trestini, and he was in Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, Don't Look Now, 4 of the Apocalypse.
That's right, I knew he was in a Fulci spaghetti western.
Milano Caliber 9.
Excellent. That is a great track record.
That guy's good, and he's got a cool presence. I mean, he's obviously memorable,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like him.
Yep. We were just watching it, and I'm like, hey, we know that guy. Is that the guy from The Living Dead of Manchester Morgue? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm going to find out.
Isn't it awesome how we found all that out without using the internet? We just remembered.
Just remembered all of it.
Damn. Did you have any other films? I know one you watched that is a favorite of mine, and you followed it up with its sequel.
Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're speaking of?
Oh, yes. I just find it really unique and amazing that a horror movie fan is watching Evil Dead 1 and 2. It's crazy. Who does that?
Quickly, the story for me on Evil Dead, I'd seen Army of Darkness when I was a kid, and I think it was my 21st birthday. My friend Carl, who I spoke of earlier, grabbed me a copy on DVD of Evil Dead, and we watched it. I'm like, holy crap! How did I miss that all these years? Which, I mean, I was aware of it.
That's awesome.
Evil Dead has got a creepiness about it, a backwoods kind of creepiness that I've never seen replicated in another film. Personally, it's just got a feeling to me. It's less on the slapstick, it's less on the comedy. There is some comedy in it, but it's just a small mixture.
Yeah.
And I'm about to commit horror fan heresy here, but I'm a much bigger fan of Evil Dead than I am Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, I've come to that conclusion too. Because for years, Evil Dead 2 is my favorite movie of all time, favorite horror movie of all time. When I was a kid, I mean, that was it. Before I reconnected with the Italian stuff, that was, if anyone asked me what's your favorite horror movie of all time, I'd be like, Evil Dead 2, hell yeah. And then when I started collecting horror movies in, 2003-ish, I discovered Evil Dead is phenomenal, and Evil Dead 2 just pales in comparison. So something so raw and friggin' outrageous about the first one. It's all that and a bag of chips.
Yes.
Do people still say that anymore?
Well, you do.
So that means no.
Evil Dead to me is frightening film even today. I think to think that they went, it was a very amateurish production as far as money goes. It's creepy today.
Yeah.
I don't understand, if Evil Dead 2 is supposed to be a sequel, then the whole beginning doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's a sequel. It's like part remake, part sequel.
And see, I'm going to take that and just snip it and throw it in there. Biatch!
See?
Damn! Yeah. Anyway, so was that all the stuff you've watched?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we had our Giallos on.
Oh my gosh, that's right.
Last weekend.
That's right. How many movies did you get in?
We got in, let's see, go through my notes. We got 17 films in.
Nice. Very nice.
There were 95 deaths.
I love it.
And I made up a scorecard. We gave away some awards. By giveaway, I mean that we got dressed up here at the house and made a big ta-da about it. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
Sweet.
It'd been a long time since we had watched that many Giallos together. In fact, I don't know that we ever had. And of course, we were just aping your Giallo meltdowns. But 17 films. We had a good time. In fact, we watched a Giallo this week that was not in the Giallo-thon. Elizabeth was yelling out things like, Black Love Killer, Pseudoscience, Psychobabble, Inheritance Scheme.
Oh, man.
J&B. So, yeah, we had a lot of fun.
It is astonishing, man. There was J&B and Don't Look Now.
Yeah.
Those bastards. Well, you know what? I think that they were trying to compete with Jack Daniels for being the most common beverage on screen ever, so.
I looked up J&B's website this week, and there is nothing on there about how they were prominently displayed in tons of Giallos, but then I got to thinking, yeah, I guess that's really not a selling point. Hey, well, we're in a bunch of 70s sleazy murder mysteries.
All right. Drink up. No, I think I'm assuming it's the same situation as Jack Daniels, where, and this is what I've heard, if you are making a film and you contact Jack Daniels and say, we're making a movie, we'll promote your product, they will bring you a case of alcohol. And
Really?
nothing makes a film crew happier than some booze. So I'm just guessing that there's so much J&B in so many Italian 70s movies that every director must have taken advantage of that. They must have called them up and said, "We're shooting a movie, bring in the J&B." Because it's crazy. Crazy. I mean, I think it's at the AV Maniacs forum. There's a site. I mean, there's a thread for J&B sightings, and it's
Really?
like 100 pages long, if not more. They'll just take screenshots while they're watching movies and post them up and share them with everybody, and it's sick, dude. It's like a weird phenomenon, you know. It's do you know about that supposed ghost that's in Three Men and a Baby? There's like this silhouette. That kid, it's a stand up, like not a stand up, a cardboard cutout of a kid that they meant to take off out of the set, and he's holding a bottle of J&B. It's really weird.
Is he really?
No.
I knew about the cardboard cutout, but I didn't know he was holding a bottle of J&B.
Why would it? That'd be awesome if J&B had a whole promotional ad with children holding their bottles.
Hey.
I got a toothache. Glub, glub, glub.
This is great. I'm going to put on some black gloves and go kill some hookers.
Hell yeah, that's what I do. For my viewing pleasure, other than Don't Look Now, I caught up with at least one horror classic that has been eluding me forever. And that is the Nazi zombie classic, Shockwaves. With Peter Cushing. And what's that 70s chick we were just talking about?
Brooke Adams.
Brooke Adams. Woo! Brooke Adams is amazingly hot in that movie. She's amazingly hot in almost every movie.
I used to confuse her with Jessica Harper a lot.
I could see why. She's a very Harper-esque type actress. But, yeah,
Harper is a very Adam-esque actress.
Oh my god. So true. Shockwaves just eluded me for a really long time, and I finally, for my birthday, my wife got it for me off my wish list, and glad to see it. A nice, tight little movie, you know. It's not, it's like 80 minutes long or 82 minutes long or something. It's really freaking sweet, and if you haven't seen Shockwaves yet, and trust me, I can't be the only person who hasn't seen it yet, you know, until now. But yeah, I really loved it. Great birthday present.
Very prototypical of a lot of the Italian zombie films, I thought.
Oh,
you had mentioned its influence on Fulci's Zombie.
If it didn't influence Fulci's Zombie, then I'm a monkey's uncle. Actually, one of my nephews is very monkey-like, but we won't talk about that.
Yeah, well, it's best to leave that. Let that lie.
On the other side of the coin, for my birthday, I also got High Society, starring Frank Sinatra and Bing Crosby, and they're fighting off a Nazi zombie horde. Oh, no, wait. No, they're not. I have a thing for musicals. I don't love all musicals. You know, you're not going to catch me watching South Pacific. You probably catch me drinking a glass of ants before you'd find me watching South Pacific, but High Society is a lot of fun. It's a very silly, pointless movie with great songs and just that 50s look that's when you just feel like chilling out to something silly. You can't go wrong. It makes you feel good about life again. And I guess that's all I watched. I mean, I'm trying to rack my brain. It's
a slow week for us.
Yeah, I've been going to band practice and messing around with my guitar pedals and listening to lots of people's podcasts. Lots of podcasts. I've been doing the Vault of Horror podcasts, which you can find on Podomatic.com, and I'm still going through my old episodes. Not my old episodes. I'm still going through the old episodes of Hollywood Saloon. For some reason, I can find value in their 2006 Summer Rant episode. I have no idea. But who else have I been listening to? I've been listening to the B-Movie Cast. You were telling me about the B-Movie Cast, and I was trying to wrap my mind around it. And then somehow I managed to crack the nuts and dig into the meat of the B-movie cast. It's a lot of fun. Love that show.
It's hard to beat the B-movie cast.
Yeah, they're cool dudes. They're fun. Also, of course, listen to the Nashi cast and other names we can drop today.
The Hysteria Continues I've been listening to.
Yeah, I love the Hysteria Continues one. That's a good one. All kinds of slasher goodness.
Oh yeah, and it's an odd dichotomy because it's two dudes from Tennessee, which I'm not far from there, and then it's a dude in Britain and a guy in Scotland.
Yeah.
So it's a very interesting
international
dichotomy, like
feel.
I said, and no, it's a good show. If you're a slasher fan, you need to be listening to that.
Yeah. And we're not just name dropping people. We really do listen to these things.
Yeah.
And so,
well, you were saying about the Hollywood Saloon. If their production is like, I don't know, Mission Impossible 4, our production is like public access show.
Yeah,
so much and yeah, really Richard carries the show, and I'm just like Ed McMahon. That's right.
If you were watching the Tonight Show for Johnny Carson, then you were a fool. You understand? I was watching it for Ed McMahon.
Poor old Ed McMahon.
He better not be poor. He better be rich as shit.
He's dead.
Oh, yeah. Brad, you killed him.
Shall we talk about La Horrible?
Shut up. You shut your face. I wanted to lash out at you because I love you. You don't have to say it back. It's cool.
I love you too.
Yes. That makes you weak.
Oh, God.
I'm not censoring that. I might turn it up louder.
Put echo and effect on it.
Anyway, folks, we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back and talk about the horrible secret of Dr. Hitchcock. Okay, we are back. You just heard a little sample of the English dub of the horrible Dr. Hitchcock. I recommend picking up the version of this movie at Eurotrash Cinema. They've got a nice copy over there. I will say that it is on YouTube in like 10 parts. It's the English dub is the one that's on YouTube, and it's in full frame. The version at Eurotrash Cinema is subtitled and dubbed in Italian, which is nice. The widescreen is always preferable, of course. There's a bunch of scenes where Barbara Steele's face is getting cut off in the full frame one, where it's like, I want to show the world my ear.
Before we get into the plot, if we can talk, I think we can talk about a few things. If you don't mind.
Oh, no, I don't mind.
It is directed by Riccardo Freda, starring Bad Steele, Barbara Steele, and Robert Fleming. Ernesto Gastaldi, and I found this to be interesting, he wrote the screenplay with someone else, according to IMDb, but he was 25 years old when he wrote this.
Nice work, Mr. Ernesto.
Of course, he would go on to a very long career of writing every giallo that Sacchetti did not write, practically.
It's an illustrious career. I heard a story that Tim Lucas told on the Nashi cast where when they were filming it, Riccardo Freda threw a bunch of pages of plot out. That he looked at they were filming and they were on a tight schedule, and they he just said, nope, we're not doing these exposition scenes. Woo! Threw them out. Much to Ernesto Gastaldi's horror.
I'm sure, yeah. What's funny is in Peter Bogdanovich's Nickelodeon, his film called Nickelodeon, which is about the early days of cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And it stars Burt Reynolds, Ryan O'Neal, it's got Tatum in it. And there's a scene in it which Bogdanovich heard from someone. I'm not sure who, if it was John Ford or Howard Hawks, but somebody, a producer came onto the set and said, "You're 3 days behind," and the director just grabbed the screenplay, ripped 6 pages out, and said, "Now we're back on schedule." And evidently Riccardo Freda was of the same mind.
It's probably a common thing, you know. And we found 2 different listings for how long this shoot was.
I found that it was filmed in 16 days, which is super impressive, and you found...
I found on the Italian Wikipedia page that it was filmed in 12, so...
even crazier.
Either way, man, I mean, if they could wrap this thing up in 2 weeks, that's phenomenal, because this is not a half-ass movie.
No, not at all. And what is even more interesting is that Barbara Steele was working on 8.5 for Fellini during the day, from what I read, and at night she was filming this.
Oh, wow.
So, for me, and like I said before we get into the plot, as far as Italian Gothic horror films go, for me it's always Black Sunday is it. And then you start filling in the gaps, oddly enough, with mostly Barbara Steele films.
Oh, yeah.
I'd say after Black Sunday, I would put this next, and then The Ghost. And then you'd go right on down the line with Castle of Blood, Nightmare Castle, Terror Creatures from the Grave, things of that nature. But I know you don't feel as strongly about Black Sunday as I do.
No, I the first time I saw Black Sunday was, I don't know, maybe like, 7 or 8 years ago, and I was really not impressed at all. I was kind of let down. I don't know what I was building it up in my mind to be, but I really just didn't like it. And then, of course, it's Bava, so I gave it another shot. And I like it better each time I watch it. But it's still not my favorite Italian Gothic. For me, it's The Ghost, which was filmed right after The Horrible Dr. Hitchcock. I really love The Ghost. And,
it's a great film.
I mean, I even like Terror Creatures from the Grave more than Black Sunday, but I'm sure I'll eat those words one day.
Well, see, that just goes to show that, within the realm of the movies, we don't always agree, because I could pretty much watch Black Sunday anytime. I think it's just, for the budget that he had, it's just masterfully put together. I think that Babs gives her first dual role where she plays 2 characters. And plus, of course, with the Tim Lucas commentary on it, you just cannot go wrong. I wish that he could be cloned, and one of his clones could just record commentaries to any movie that I want to see.
You would never watch a movie again without his voice in the background.
No, you wouldn't.
Or in the foreground. But I rate Horrible Dr. Hitchcock way, way up on there. I mean, that's just, having watched this film, I think I've watched this 4 or 5 times now, and there's a lot going on. There's a lot of cool stuff.
If you're an Italian Gothic horror fan, I implore you to go to Eurotrash Cinema and pick up a copy.
Yeah.
The dub, I didn't watch all the dub on YouTube. I kind of jumped around, just trying to get a feel of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't beat it being in widescreen.
No. And the dubbing, I don't like the actors very much. They, especially Barbara Steele, the voice actress for her is a little too high pitched, a little too, I don't know how to describe it. It's harder to take the dub seriously than it is the subtitled. So I really love dubbing. Okay, like ever since the whole Jess Franco thing, I've been watching a ton of Jess Francos. I always prefer the dubbing of those. That just makes them even better. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the subtitled in Italian on this one, even though, as we all know, there was no way in hell this was filmed with live sound. Because that's just not standard operating procedure for Italian cinema back in the day.
Right.
Brad, do you
Okay,
want
so the plot-
to? Brad, you want to so naturally and beautifully go through the plot for us?
Absolutely.
No way. No way. We'll have to edit anything. I promise.
Okay. We open in 1885 London. You get a nice shot of Big Ben there.
Hey.
There's a graveyard, and there's a grave digger. He is, digging a hole to bury a body, and someone in black comes up and fondles the dead woman. Then you go to a hospital scene of a doctor performing surgery with this new anesthetic, and it's a groundbreaking anesthetic. It's gonna, save people a lot of trouble. The doctor goes home to a party. He says he's tired and he retires. His wife is downstairs playing piano. The party leaves. She goes upstairs. The doctor gets his drug from a drawer, and his wife is laid on the bed, and the doctor gives her the drug, and then he starts making out with his unconscious wife. There is another hospital scene, and then we go back to the doctor. He gives her a bigger dose. She reacts pretty poorly, and she dies. So the doctor leaves and goes away, and 12 years later he comes back with a brand new wife, played by Barbara Steele, and that's pretty much picks up where the film really, really gets going, really starts. The scene when they're at his wife's funeral with umbrellas. This film is filled with actual Alfred Hitchcock references. The scene where they're at the funeral, there's an umbrella scene. It's raining. It's very reminiscent of one from Foreign Correspondent, which is one of my favorite Hitchcocks. But like I said, that pretty much opens it up. Obviously, the horrible secret of Dr. Hitchcock is revealed there pretty early on, where he's has a touch of necrophilia.
Yeah, he is such a necrophile that he is like unhinged when he knows there's a hot, sexy dead body at the hospital. Man, he's got to get up and go out and go check it out.
It's not enough to knock his wife out and have sex with her. He's also on the prowl. Otherwise, Dr. Hitchcock's played by Robert Fleming, and I thought he did a good job in this role. He's imperious when he needs to be. Obviously for 1962, this is pretty strong stuff.
Yeah, he's
very flagged by the censors.
He's got the unhinged thing going. He's pretty fearless. I really like that. After his wife Margareta is killed accidentally, he tries to start over. He actually leaves and starts a new life with Barbara Steele. Who's her name is Cynthia in this movie. She is like she represents this new era in his life, and of course, he makes the very, very poor decision to return to his house in London and return to the memories of the past, which immediately start taking over. And he, of course, has to go back to his old ways, sneaking back to the hospital to get some corpse loving.
Right. So he comes home with Barbara Steele, which is Cynthia, and they go inside the house, and everything's covered up, put away, everything's covered in sheets, and his housekeeper, Martha, who's played by Harriet White, who you may recognize from every Gothic Italian horror film ever made.
Just about.
She's in quite a few.
Yeah.
She worked for Bava.
Yep. She was in both. She was in both The Ghost for Freda and Blood and Black Lace for Bava, and Whipping the Body for Bava too.
Yeah. The Whipping the Body, that's one that I think is underrated in Bava's canon as far as those films go.
That's a great movie. In fact, I would love to do an episode on that movie, but Tim Lucas just kills it on the commentary on that one.
Do you have that with his commentary on it?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Let me double check. Oh, Hold on, I gotta find
There we go off on our tangents, but I would love to get my hands on a copy of that because the only copy I have is one that I bought at a gas station.
You got the gas station copy? I've
got
got
the gas station copy.
I've got VCI. Excuse me. I've got VCI special features commentary by Tim Lucas.
Are you serious?
Yep, it's the VCI version released in 2002.
That makes me excited. My copy of The Whipping Body. If you put the DVD on the shelf the way it should be, everything's upside down. They've used a picture of Christopher Lee on the cover from, I don't know, 1978 maybe. I'm guessing.
Forget it. I can't remember. Go ahead.
No, it's just one of those cheapo DVDs where they just grabbed a file photo of Christopher Lee and a file photo of whoever and just threw it on the cover. I mean, he's gray-headed and wearing a suit, which is not the way he appears in the film at all.
Nice.
Sorry to take us off on that tangent there, but yeah, I wasn't even aware of its existence.
We are tangenitals. One thing I like about Martha, when he comes back after 12 years, she's aged like 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, she's looking rough.
Something has happened while he was gone, and she's not doing so good.
They hear a scream when they come in, and Martha says it's her sister. And here's really, the atmosphere in this scene where they come into the house and everything's covered up. He's been gone for 12 years. This is where the atmosphere really, really starts to build. The tension of what's going on. Cynthia steps in, and you see Martha with a portrait of Margarita and her cat Jezebel. And you see this odd sort of silent communication between Martha and Dr. Hitchcock, which you had also seen earlier. I left out. You'd seen this communication between Margarita when she's at the party before she dies and Martha, the housekeeper. And I thought that was really effective because you're really placed in Cynthia's shoes in this film because there's something going on and you don't know quite what it is.
Yeah, you don't know jack about what's going on. It's really cool. You feel like an outsider, and that is really neat. I like that.
And here comes, one of the most celebrated scenes of the film. You get Barbara Steele, Cynthia, at the window, and the rain's coming down on the window, and she's looking out into the garden, and it's just really, really striking. It's a very memorable shot of her. Barbara Steele being pretty much the face of Italian Gothic horror. They made an industry out of her for those, 5 years or so. And as she's looking out the window, she sees a hooded figure walk through the yard. And the figure turns around, looks at her, and then just disappears. Yeah. And I thought that it was really well done. What did you think?
Oh, I love it. And the moment that the figure disappears, the doors behind her burst open from the storm and all the wind and the lightning, and it's creepy stuff. And this isn't like keep you up at night for weeks on end scary. This is it just feels right. It just that Gothic stuff is so much fun. It sets a
mood, and the mood always to me is it's raining outside Sunday afternoon. You throw one of these in, and it's just perfect.
Yeah.
Obviously we're not going to pick films to review at this point that we don't enjoy. So, I mean, if somebody out there is thinking, every episode they just go on and on, it's because we're picking films that we want to talk about.
There will be an episode where we intentionally pick something terrible, like something that is just unforgivably awful, but it's something that we both like.
Right.
It's something that we both have to tear a new one, but in the end we'll both agree that we love it. Because that's, we like to celebrate things here. We're not gonna do the dissing show.
No, not at all. When the door opens to the wind, Cynthia hears footsteps, and she goes over. She hears footsteps down the hallway, and somebody tries to open her door. And the next morning she asked Dr. Hitchcock, and he said that he didn't hear anything at all, and he just dismisses her out of hand.
And that's a creepy scene too. That's a creepy one. That's a creepy scene too.
Mm-hmm.
Where she's in bed and just like frozen in terror as someone's out there. Cynthia
goes to this little a room, the door of a room, and she goes to open it up, and Martha kind of appears out of nowhere behind her and tells her, you're not allowed to go in there. It's forbidden.
Yeah, I like why is it locked? It's always been locked.
Yeah, and really, I do believe Martha kind of appears out of nowhere. You get the feeling that Martha's, pretty much keeping an eye on Cynthia.
Oh yeah, she's watching her like a hawk.
Yeah.
It's bad enough, she's got her crazy sister there. Now she's got to clean. Yeah. She's got to get the whole place ready for some new wife. Ugh. Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't get paid enough for this crap.
No, not at all.
That's a direct quote from the movie.
Then we have an opera scene where Dr. Hitchcock is in the hospital. There's a young doctor. His name is Kurt, and he is played by
Silvano Tranquilli,
who is in scads of Italian horror films.
Dude, Silvano Tranquilli, a very dependable guy in so many movies. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'm trying to think.
Him and Cynthia talk, and he talks about how much he admires and respects Dr. Hitchcock, and he takes her home. And then, pretty quickly here, you have another very effective and creepy scene. Cynthia's walking through the foggy woods, and the leaves are rushing past the camera in what I always think of as being a type move.
Oh, man. Is that POV shot?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, man. Well, first let me say how awesome Kurt is. I mean, this guy has just met his boss's wife, and he's totally flirting with her,
Mm-hmm.
I also like how when they're at the opera, there's this totally obvious, what's the phrase? Found footage or,
stock footage.
Oh, thank you. I love how there's stock footage of the opera. That was really neat to see that mixed in there. So seamless. Just so seamless. And the thing about that POV moment is it's so out of the ordinary. I mean, there is not anything in that film that's like that POV shot where the dead branches, the leaves, I mean, the dead branches of the trees are in her way and the bushes, and you just see her right from her perspective, pushing them out of the way in the fog, and it just feels like you're there. It feels like you're in the movie. And you see that so seldomly with, films of this age. A lot of directors weren't trying that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously, Riccardo Freda didn't invent POV.
No.
Not saying that. But he used it very effectively in just that one little moment, and it's like, oh, glad I'm watching this.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to find out, and I'm sure that Tim Lucas knows, and it's probably in his book. Bava is bound to have picked up something from Freda, even though he was an accomplished cinematographer himself, and special effects artist. He's bound to have picked up some things from Freda, because Freda was an accomplished guy. He'd done a lot of the Peplum sword and sandal films.
Yeah.
And, of course, as we always say, we don't know how much Freda directed of I Vampire and how much Bava did.
I always say I wish Riccardo Freda did more horror, but he probably just wasn't that into it. It probably wasn't his focus of his career, and he'd been doing so many movies before this. Before Horrible Dr. Hitchcock, he'd done tons of movies under his belt, and the movies that he did, the genre pictures that we love of, his Giallo, The Iguana with the Tongue of Fire, and Tragic Ceremony, and Murder Obsession. I mean, those are just...
Liz and Helen, too, yeah.
Thank you. I always forget Liz and Helen. Those are awesome examples of the genre, and there will definitely be more Riccardo Freda on this show. We really, really like him a lot. Yeah.
One of the things that I think, the movie industry has changed so much, but the Italians were notorious, or, I don't feel that they were notorious for it. It was something that I enjoyed. Spaghetti westerns came along. Everybody was doing a spaghetti western, and then they started to die out. Everyone was doing Italian Gothic horror films. That started to die out. Everyone was doing giallos. That started to die out. They started doing the crime films.
Oh, yeah.
So if you find a director of a giallo, more than likely, if he's been directing for a while, you're going to find in his back catalog a spaghetti western. You're going to find a Gothic horror film. You know, if he continued on, you're probably going to find a Eurocrime film. So Freda had done, like the Sword and Sandal films, he had done, you know, quite a few of those.
Did Freda do any spaghetti westerns?
You know, I don't think he did.
Oh.
I know he did.
Wait a second.
I'm not sure.
He wrote and directed one, which is very unusual for Italian directors.
Right.
He did one called No Killing Without Dollars with Mark Damon, Stephen Forsythe, and Luciana Gili. I don't know why that name sounds familiar. But yeah, I mean, can you imagine, like, if there were as many giallos as there were spaghetti westerns? You know how sick that would be? That would be sick, dude.
Yeah. Because, I mean, how many giallos do you think there are out there? True Italian, and when I say true, I just mean within the context of our conversation. I'm not one of the giallo purists to say that a giallo has to be Italian-made whatsoever. How many giallos do you think are out there?
Oh, man, I'd say, 150?
50.
150.
150.
That's my guess. Because I know that there's, like, hundreds of spaghetti westerns.
Well, obviously we're on our quest to see all giallos.
Yes.
So it would be very interesting as time goes on to really find out how many are out there.
Yeah, I could probably break out my frickin' Blood and Black Lace book, the one, the definitive guide to Italian sex and horror movies, and just count how many's in that book, because and that book isn't complete, but that book is pretty damn close. Well,
I'd have to say, would you say there's probably less Gothic horror films from the than there are giallos?
Yeah, oh, definitely. That annoys me too. I mean, I love giallos, but man, I would kill for more of the Gothic stuff. That'd be great.
We recently watched Nightmare Castle, the one that Severin remastered and fixed up, and that's a good film. It's a little drowsy in the middle.
Yeah.
But it's got, of course, Barbara Steele. It's got Helga Linnea, which she factors into a lot of Spanish horror films.
Is that the one?
Yeah, I do too. I wish there were a lot more of the Gothics.
Yeah, Nightmare Castle. That's not the one. Is that one also known as Faceless Monster? Or
yes.
Okay, because I get that one mixed up with Castle of Blood a lot.
Castle of Blood is Antonio Margheriti, and that's one of my favorites.
I need to revisit that one because I did not like that. I bought when Castle of Blood came out in that nice special edition. I bought it and then I immediately got rid of it. I just, for some reason, it pissed me off. I couldn't stand it, and now I'm like kicking myself because I'm like, wait, did I watch it when I wasn't that into the Gothic ones? And I think that's what happened. Is now that I appreciate them, I need to give it another shot.
Me personally, in my opinion, I would tell you to go back and watch it again when you have a chance because I love it. I think I love it more than Elizabeth likes it. It is, of course, Margherita remade it himself as Web of the Spider a few years later in the 70s. The version that I have of Web of the Spider is full frame. It's part of it's pan and scan, cut off, so I've not seen all of it. We got about halfway through, and I'm like, I just can't watch this because it's just.
I've had the same exact experience with that version. I think somebody needs to find that and put that out to give it a fair shake.
I think so too. Yeah, there's actually an article on the internet. If you look up, if you Google Castle of Blood, there's an article, a really good article about it and Web of the Spider. And without going into the details, it's somewhat similar to the Dr. Hitchcock article about the necrophilia. It's really in depth and it's a very interesting read.
Oh, neat.
I wish I could remember what it was.
I'm sure it won't be too hard to find.
No, but I would recommend Castle of Blood. I really enjoy. I think Margheriti is one that is down there in the second tier, and he belongs in the second tier. But I do feel that he's a little underrated.
Oh yeah, he's cool. He's a cool guy. I think just the experience of watching Cannibal Apocalypse is just words can't describe that movie.
Is that the one with John Saxon?
Yeah, I think is it Apocalypse Domani or I know it's Cannibal Apocalypse.
Right.
And that's with John Saxon and
that's one that I need to revisit.
It's a weird one. It's a very odd film. It's how can I put this? I don't like it so much as I really appreciate that it exists.
Right.
Something like that.
You know, I did not get into the cannibal films that much.
Well, this is the least cannibal-like of any of them. This is like...
Right.
This is the action movie that just happens to have horror in it. So anyway.
So back to what you were saying before I took us down that road. She's going through the fog, and the leaves rush past the camera, and there's a quote. She hears someone speak, and what? You've got it, don't you?
Oh, I've got it. There's this raspy voice in the trees. Just you can't see who's speaking, but it sounds like whoever it is right on top of her. And it's...
Death will take you as you sleep. As you sleep. Sleep as deep as death. Sleep as eternal as death. Sleep with no awakening. Like death. Like death. Death.
But it's just so creepy, man. You know you're screwed when people are raspily whispering threats to you in the night.
Martha finds her there in the fog, and she's holding a candelabra. And I meant to mention earlier, there's a nice scene of Dr. Hitchcock, when Margarita is still alive, of Dr. Hitchcock walking through a hallway with a candelabra. And I think that might be one of his trademarks, because I know that in Fear and in Tragic Ceremony, there are scenes of people walking down hallways with candelabras, and he handles it well in all three films.
He had to make sure it was a horror movie, you know, like...
Right.
Without this ingredient, it won't be horror.
Martha finds her there in the fog, and Martha tells her that her sister is gone. The one that we've not seen that screamed in the earlier scene. Cynthia goes inside, she finds in her bed, she pulls back the covers, and there's a skull. Now, this is a Hitchcock reference, and there appears to be some misunderstanding or some confusion as to which film that's from. You had read that it's from Jamaica Inn,
yep,
which was Hitchcock's last British film before he came to America to do Rebecca. I read in a couple of places it was under Capricorn. Now, I'd be more likely to believe that it was probably from Jamaica Inn, but I don't know because I've not seen either film.
And you are definitely more of the Hitchcock guy than I am. I'm not going to do that research. I'll let you handle that, buddy.
I own them both. My Jamaica Inn copy, that is a public domain film, and we started watching it one day, and it was a little hard to watch. Of course, since then, I've watched a lot worse, so I really need to go back and take another look at it. And Under Capricorn, I've got to, but I've not seen it because it's one that I meant to watch this last go-round when we watched a bunch of Hitchcock's, but I haven't. It's not considered to be one of his better films, even though the French in the 50s really enjoyed Under Capricorn. Joseph Cotten is in it, who figures into Italian horror cinema fairly prominently as far as American stars go. And he made the unfortunate mistake of saying within Hitchcock's hearing that the film ought to be called Under Corny Crap. So yeah, so that kind of irritated Hitchcock, which I can understand. It's not really a thriller from what I've read. It's more like a melodrama with some thriller aspects in it. But anyway, that's our second of our Hitchcock references back to the director Alfred Hitchcock. She sees the skull in her bed. Of course, she screams. Then you see the doctor back in the hospital, and he lets the patient die because he will not use his anesthetic anymore. He says it's not perfected. The doctor then takes a stroll down to the morgue, and he finds the dead woman, and he's aroused visibly. I mean, you can tell.
Oh, yeah.
And he's lurching towards the body, and he's interrupted by a hospital worker. Of course, Babs, old Cynthia has fainted in the meantime after she saw the skull in her bed, and that's what she does a lot in this film, is faint.
Yeah, and I tried not to pay attention to it. I tried to say, oh, come on, there's not that much fainting. Oh, right. It's... Well, the plot
there's one faint too many,
on the faint,
basically, and yes. We'll get to that part. But as we discussed before, there's one feint that is a feint simply for the effect of moving the story along, really.
I think the screenwriters could have done something better with that, you know?
Yeah.
Because Barbara Steele's really good in this.
She is good in it. Her only limitations, I believe, and you and I talked about this too, I'm always of the opinion that she's not as good in this as she is in The Ghost.
Right.
And, you know, pretty much between you and I, we chalked it up to she was still early in her acting film career. But, you know, you had mentioned you thought it was the limitations of the script, and seeing it again, I can agree with you. It probably is that she does what she's called to do very well. And The Ghost, she just has, without giving any of that plot away, she just has more of a stronger, meatier role, maybe.
The role here in Dr. Hitchcock is not nearly as dynamic as as The Ghost, or as...
You hit the nail on the head there.
Hey, I like that word. But she's really good in this. She does a lot of acting with her hands. There's scenes where she's talking and her hands are kind of moving and gives it a little bit of nuance, like she's one of those people that just talks with her hands, you know. And it's just a neat little quirk that I think is unique to this performance, maybe, you know.
She wakes up and there's no skull in the bed, and she looks through the keyhole and she sees a woman walk past the room, and the woman's wearing, you just see the bottom quarter of her maybe, wearing a white dress and these white boots that incidentally are the same that Margarita is wearing in her portrait that hangs up. And of course, for another Hitchcock reference, Martha is very Miss Danvers-like from Rebecca, the housekeeper from Rebecca, because if you've read Rebecca or seen Rebecca, it's along these same lines, is that a man marries a woman and he has a dead wife and he takes her home. And the housekeeper there is very protective and was very close to the first wife, and, you know, certainly adds to the tension of the second wife trying to live up to the first wife. And, of course, Martha does no help here either in the same context. I thought that was a very creepy scene. She looks through the keyhole and sees someone walking past the room, and they're wearing the same thing that Margarita was wearing in her portrait. And, we talked before, at this point, you don't know. It could be one of many different people that is haunting.
Oh yeah,
Cynthia.
Who knows? I mean, it could be a ghost. It could be whatever, you know.
Yeah, it could be Martha's sister that's supposedly now gone. It could be Martha herself.
Martha's crazy sister.
Exactly. We don't know. The feet stop there in front of the door, and it's just a really, very, very effectively done. At this point, Cynthia's talking to the doctor, and he reveals to us, the audience, that Cynthia has not been well lately. And there's talk about how her father had died. You had mentioned, I did not catch what he had gone and done in the 12 years that he was gone, but you had suggested that perhaps he'd went and worked at a mental hospital.
Yeah, I was thinking, at first I thought a mental hospital, but then I'm guessing that he was just working at another hospital where he met Cynthia, where she was recovering from the shock of the death of her father.
I think that's interesting. That could play into his motivations for marrying her, too.
How so?
Perhaps that since her father died, she was looking for a more fatherly figure, because he's clearly much older than she is.
Oh, yeah.
And, in the same hand, that, perhaps she'd be a little more manipulatable by the doctor.
A little more suggestible.
Yeah.
Hey,
I need a dictionary.
That's why I have no idea what I was going to say right there. Probably something really filthy. Something about old men and little girls. I won't go there. No, I think it's interesting, though, that she is this, for him, she's this redemptive figure. Until he comes back home to the crazy house.
Cynthia spies on Martha closing the mirrored door. There's a mirrored door that's kind of like it's not really plainly a door. It's like a secret door.
Mm-hmm.
And Cynthia goes and confides in Kurt, the younger doctor. Something's going on in the house. I don't know what's going on. Dr. Hitchcock is back at the hospital, and he is once again going to fondle a dead woman when Kurt walks in on him.
Oh, man.
And, the doctor has to make all these excuses. Oh, I was going to check her for this or that or whatever.
Oh, dude,
you can see that it's intensifying. We don't know the 12 years that he was gone, whether he was still doing this or not.
So funny.
Coming home has somehow re-triggered those feelings, but you see him various times trying to get his necrophilia on.
Dude, that scene is so funny. I'm sorry. That is when he is all... Okay, first things first. Whenever Mr. Hitchcock, Mr. Professor Dr. Hitchcock, is getting excited, everything is cast in this red glow. Like the lighting is really effective in this, and it starts to change, and he starts to get all weird. His jaw's like unhinging a little bit, and he's looking like a madman. But when he is about to get his freak on with that corpse, and Kurt just walks right in the door, it gets funnier every time I watch it. And I don't know if it's meant to be funny. But dude, when he busts him, it's like, thanks for cock blocking me, bro. Oh my god, and he says something to the effect of, I was just checking the body for the coagulation.
Right.
It's like, no, that's not what you were doing. But
it doesn't even make sense, Dr. Hitchcock.
But you know what? I mean, Kurt has nothing to suspect at this point. In fact, one of the things I love is that Cynthia asks him, like, do you think that he's normal? And Kurt's like, yeah, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's like, so I take that line to mean that, he's not exactly making regular visits to her bedroom or something.
Right.
She's probably pretty bored because he's not using his anesthetic to knock her out and work her over, which I always thought was really sad for Margareta, because it's like, oh, honey, are we going to have sex? Yeah. You're not going to remember it.
No, you're not going to have any of the enjoyment whatsoever from it.
You're going to have a really disgusting dream. And you're going to wake up sticky.
Yeah, you're going to wake up not so fresh.
Oh, doctor.
Oh, doctor.
Oh, Dr. Hitchcock.
Uh-huh.
Well, he really would have been progressive for this movie if it wasn't just ladies. If he liked any corpse, like male, female, child, animal. He gets horny when they find some rotting fish, Yeah. Oh, don't throw that out. I just love death.
I'll take that home. I'll take that home with me.
I'll make my own special sauce. Hey-oh!
Whoa.
I know, I went there.
You did.
So where were we?
Cynthia is at home. She discovers the secret passageway into a cellar. She goes down through there. She sees a skull. The wind blows her candle out. She goes up to a passageway, and she sees a window into a room where Martha is bringing tea to a lady whose back is to the camera. You can't see who it is. And, of course, Cynthia thinks that it's Martha's sister still in the house. I thought that was very effective because, this house, there's more to the house than what Cynthia is allowed to roam.
Right.
So there's lots of secret passageways and extra rooms and stuff. It's at this point that Dr. Hitchcock is at home, and he hears the piano playing, and he goes to the balcony upstairs, looks down, and he sees a veiled figure playing the piano. He rushes down there, and when he gets there, there's no one there, but a cat rushes outside into the storm. It's Jezebel, the black cat, who's in the portrait with Margarita. It was her cat.
The thing I like about that scene is the figure at the piano is playing the exact same piece of music that Margareta was playing at the beginning of the movie at that party.
Yes.
And that is awesome.
It's filmed well. He comes up to the balcony, he sees her, and then all of a sudden he runs down there, she's gone, but the black cat, Jezebel, is running away from the piano. So you're like, huh. You know, it's a really nice touch. At this point, we still don't know quite exactly what is going on, and he's shocked by all this, the doctor is. So
he seems freaked out.
Yeah.
One thing I like about the scene where Martha's serving tea to that figure is, hey, this was 2 years after Psycho.
Yes.
And I was like, man, that could be some Mrs. Bates shit right there, you know?
Yeah.
That's just,
yes, no doubt.
There's a lot of possibilities going on there.
There are, indeed. It is amazing how really influential Psycho is for a long time, even to today.
Oh yeah, it's like it's almost like everyone's attempts at being misdirecting are an affectation now.
Yes. Can you imagine in 1960 being in the theater and seeing Psycho for the first time?
Shit, man.
I mean, it probably freaked a lot of people out. It
freaked me out in the 80s when I was a kid. Because, what I watched Psycho, and I watched Psycho 2, and the next thing you know, I'm dragging a chair into the bathroom with me so I can use it to brace the door closed. And I'm showering with the curtain open, getting water all over the floor because I'm too scared to close it. Because I figure if the curtain's open, then, Mama Perkins won't come and frickin' stab me to death.
I also wondered, we talked about this too, about Margarita dying early on. If she had been famous and they killed her off early, that in itself could be a Hitchcock reference back to Psycho.
Exactly.
Where he killed off the main actress there in early on, and the focus changes.
Yeah, I'm looking at
Well, she may not have been. And
she's played by
a reference in the fact that they killed off the wife there early on, and she was well known or not.
It was Maria Teresa Vianello, and according to IMDb, she only had 11 appearances in TV and film. So I don't think she was a big deal. She could have been a model,
right?
I didn't look her up on the Italian Wikipedia, because that's just what I do. I see an opportunity to research, and then I don't. So
I think we did quite a bit of research on this, though.
No, we didn't. I'm just messing with you.
So the cat rushes out into the storm, Jezebel, and Dr. Hitchcock sees his figure everywhere. These little flash cuts, which I thought was, once again, very effective.
Awesome.
In the meantime, Cynthia has come around, and by come around, I mean she has fainted, and she is put into her bed, and here we go. We're finally here at this scene. The doctor pulls out a syringe and gives her the anesthetic.
It's time for him to make floppy with his fake dead wife.
That's right. There's a slow tracking shot up over Cynthia's body while she's moving her head around, but she can't move any of the rest of her body. And the doctor moves in on her, and his face is lit red, like you were speaking about before.
Oh, yeah.
And a hand comes up behind him. Cynthia screams, and that's the end of that scene.
Okay.
Very effective.
This is probably the most important scene in the movie. This is, not only is this really cool and creepy, this is also freaking smart as shit, alright? She wakes up, not in her bedroom. She doesn't wake up in the frickin' mezzanine, or on the lanai, or in the frickin' orange groves, or wherever. She wakes up in Mr. Dr. Hitchcock's little freak fest room. Okay, this room is a bedroom, but it is decked out all in black and gold, mostly black, to be like his little funeral parlor. This is where he and Margareta would play their little games. So now it seems like, holy shit, it is time for Cynthia to get her to not get her groove on.
Mm-hmm.
And you see her looking around the room, like that slow tracking shot you mentioned, and sure enough, behind the curtain on the bed is her husband. And he looks, okay, at first, when you see him through the kind of gauzy curtain on the bed, he looks like a freaking corpse. Because he's all lit in red, and it's like the shadow on his face is kind of skeletal. Then he comes out, and it gets worse. Because the red light is just like totally pulsing and getting brighter and brighter. And they have actually done special effects on his face. He has those like inflatable bladder things where his face is actually growing and distorting, and he's looking at her. And then, like you said, those freaking hand comes out and like claws his neck. But okay, this is so great because she is fucked up on the anesthesia, and she's hallucinating. But it's almost like she's seeing the way he really is.
Mm-hmm.
She's seeing his dark desire frickin' manifest itself in front of her. Like, I mean, this is probably what Margareta would have seen had she woken up while she was under the influence. Because it is like, I mean, it's chilling, dude, that his...
Yeah, that's a great point. I had not thought about it that way, about how she's really seeing the true Dr. Hitchcock there.
Yeah, it's like his distorted face is the embodiment of his soul, like his evil. You know, that shit was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was really nicely done. Nicely done.
Mind equals blown.
Yeah, no, seriously, that's a great point, because I had not thought about that, about, you know, seeing the true Dr. Hitchcock.
You know, I hope that's my own thought. I'm hoping that I didn't just frickin' read that somewhere. Just like spouting it off. If you do know where I stole that from, please let me know on the show. But no, that's what I was thinking of. I mean, it's just so effective, man.
Well, you know, I've read about the
gorgeous.
film, and I've not read that before, so it's very likely that you did come up with that on your own.
Let's stop here, because I think we're going to hit some spoilers now.
Yeah, there's one more Hitchcock reference that I know of, and this is where the movie takes off for the climax.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to take a break, and we will spoil the hell out of this movie, and you'll be glad we did. Or you'll be disappointed or disgusted. Either way.
Hello, my name is Rod Barnett.
I'm Troy Gwynn.
And we are your genial co-hosts for NashyCast, the podcast about the films of Paul Naschy. If you don't know who Paul Naschy is, you need to learn.
Spanish horror icon, writer, director, actor, makeup artist.
He is all of these things and more. Paul Naschy, one of the greatest genre filmmakers of all time. Do titles like Horror Rises from the Tomb,
Vengeance of the Mummy, Werewolf Shadow,
House of Psychotic Women,
Blue Eyes of the Broken Doll.
Mark of the Werewolf make you want to see more?
Watch the film, then come hear our stunning, brilliant commentary.
Stunning and brilliant. That's us. Think that's too egotistical? Think that sounds silly? Think we come off as assholes?
Look, if nothing else, let us tell you this. Blood, nudity, beautiful women, werewolves and turtlenecks.
Nipples. Lots of nipples. Both male and female. Yeah. I don't know if anybody's going to want to listen to us after this, man. Find us at The Bloody Pit of Rod, or
You can subscribe to us on iTunes.
give us a listen. And if we scare you too much, well, maybe Spanish horror is not your thing. I don't know.
Your room's up there. Why is this door locked? It's always been locked.
Okay, folks, we're back from another break. The dog and I had to pee, so we took care of that outside together in front of my neighbors.
Oh,
Right.
you mean the dog by me, or?
No, the dog, Shadow. You're a dog. You're not a dog. You're a dog.
Dog and I had to be.
But this is the portion of the show where we warn you that there will be spoilers. We're going to go crazy and spoil the crap out of this movie because that's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't seen Horrible Dr. Hitchcock, please go watch it. Come back and listen. Or if you're one of those people who doesn't care, then just keep listening.
Yeah.
Are there any other kinds of people out there? Oh, yeah, I guess people have seen it before. I forgot all about you. Sorry. I'm a neglectoider.
So, the doctor, Martha goes and gets Cynthia a glass of milk. She brings it to the doctor, though, and the doctor goes and puts poison in it.
And there's another scene where he and Martha have a look. Martha and Dr. Hitchcock share a look.
Which is their odd silent communication that we'd spoken of earlier in the film. And of course, this is a take from Alfred Hitchcock's Suspicion with Joan Fontaine and Cary Grant. And it is also copied in Argento's The Cat of Nine Tails.
Oh, yeah.
She drinks the milk, and then he leaves her to die, and he goes to the hospital. So, she is at this point where you see that Kurt says that at the hospital he has been by the house and no one was at home.
Yeah, he basically the driver was sent to go pick up Cynthia, and he comes back and he says to Dr. Hitchcock, "There's nobody there." So Hitchcock decides to go there himself, and
Cynthia has poured the milk into a vase and takes the vase to Kurt for analysis.
Yeah, because she suspects something's up.
Right, and she should.
But let me tell you, Brad, when I give a woman a glass of milk, I don't care if there's poison in it. I don't care if there's poop in it. She better drink that milk.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Dr. Hitchcock shows up angry that obviously that Cynthia's not dead. And they go home, and he tells her, "I fired Martha," when really he had just given her the week off.
Right.
And Cynthia goes into her room, and she starts packing. And through a keyhole, she sees Dr. Hitchcock making a noose. And, of course, fight or flight kicks in, and Cynthia faints.
Okay, there's flight, fight, or fail.
Yeah.
Cynthia's got fail on. Oh, my God.
And, of course, this is just meant to move the story along when they could have done it in various other ways.
Yeah, and if there's one complaint I have about this movie, that's it. That one feint right there is the one too many. Stupid. So.
No, I agree.
They
could have had the doctor just burst in and conk her over the head with a candelabra or various things. But basically, this is all done to get her into the funeral parlor room, his freak show room.
Mm-hmm.
The other doctor, the specialist tells the young doctor there's enough poison in this glass to kill a horse.
Yes.
And Kurt runs off in a hurry. You next see Cynthia in a coffin that bears her name. It says Cynthia on it. And she's rocking back and forward, and she finally falls out. And a woman in boots comes down the stairs and tells Cynthia that she will bury her alive like she was 12 years before.
Yes.
And Cynthia runs away into the room with the noose and runs into the crazy Margarita.
Yes.
Or what we assume to be a Margarita. And she backs up into the doctor. Now, the doctor tries to strangle her, and then you see Kurt running into the house, and she's hanging upside down. And at this point, they're going to bleed her.
Yeah, this
and I
is
read this is a reference to later on Dracula, Prince of Darkness, where they bleed one of the people in the castle to bring Dracula back to life.
Really?
And I thought that was interesting.
The
66.
No, what's cool
later.
is what's really cool about this is that image of Barbara Steele in that coffin with the little glass window. That's really nice. So when she bursts out of that coffin, it's just like, oh, that's so cool. And I love that it's frickin' Margarita.
Right.
Margarita didn't die. Mr. Dumbass Dr. Hitchcock, who can't frickin' tell a corpse from a living person, even though you'd think he'd really know by now, let them bury her alive. And here's the funny part. We have to assume that he didn't know these 12 years.
Right.
We have to assume that Martha never wrote him a little letter like, "Hey, Margarita's alive, get home."
Yeah,
you know?
come on back.
And that's why she's aged so much, is because she's been taking care of this mad woman for the last 12 years.
Right.
That is badass.
Yeah, and they corroborate his shock when he sees someone at the piano playing the piano. I mean, he's genuinely shocked.
Yeah, you could have knocked him over with a feather.
So the doctor is standing there laughing with Margarita, and he says he will restore her beauty with Cynthia's blood.
Which makes... What? Like, that always throws me off. It's like, so he has a magical blood potion now, or they're gonna do a...
and you're right. This does stretch the boundaries of what Dr. Hitchcock, what we know him to be capable of.
Right. I love it. I love the fact that they had her hanging upside down, and that you think she's already dead because there's blood on the floor from the wound on her shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
But she ain't dead. She's very much alive, and they're gonna slash her throat and take her life juice.
Exactly. So Kurt finally shows up.
Finally.
And he rushes in to kill Dr. Hitchcock. And at this point, I get confused. I've seen this 3 times.
Yes.
What happens to Dr. Hitchcock? Does he knock him over?
Okay. Now, let me tell you the sad truth here. When I watch the English dub on YouTube, it clearly shows Dr. Hitchcock going over the balcony.
Really?
Kurt pushes him, and he falls backwards down the balcony. So I don't know if that's in the subtitled cut or not.
I don't think it is, because I've always kind of wondered here, what happens to Dr. Hitchcock?
It happens real
it's like
fast.
Kurt rushes into the room, and then he's fighting Margarita off.
Yeah. So, and the thing that's this... Okay, here's the confusing part. So Dr. Hitchcock goes over the railing, which may or may not be in the version you have, and then he's trying to pick up Cynthia to get her the hell out of there, and Margarita attacks them both with the knife.
Mm-hmm.
He puts Cynthia down and takes on Margarita and struggles with her for a moment, and then he pushes her. And you have to assume that he pushes her into the fire.
Mm-hmm.
It's weirdly edited. It's the only time in the movie where the editing kind of fails, where you just don't know what the hell happened. And if you look really closely and you turn the brightness up, you can see a white figure in the fire.
Right.
But there's not that connecting shot. There's just him getting pushed off. There's her getting pushed off camera, then a figure in the flames. What the hell just happened? You don't know. And it's a little. I mean, you have to put it together in your mind, and that's not good. You know. And you could chalk that up to the shot not being there. You could chalk it up to this is a different version. But watch that scene very closely with the English dub, as well as the subtitled one, and it's the same in both. So there could be more out there, but I think that's just maybe, you know, that 12 or 16-day shooting schedule made things a little awkward. But now I got to look again at my Italian version to see if he falls down the balcony.
I want to say he doesn't, because
it's
I don't
very
remember that.
clear.
I've written it down in my notes.
Yeah, it's very clear. You don't see his body,
right,
but you know that he went over the balcony in the English dub. So
he's not a candelabra over, which is what just caused the fire.
Yeah.
And he knocks Margarita into the fire, and he rushes out with Cynthia as the house burns, and that's it.
The end.
Yeah.
We did another one.
I've got a few notes on the crew of the film.
Let's hear it.
One is the producers are Luigi Carpentieri and Amano Donati, and Luigi Carpentieri was billed as Louis Mann, and they also produced The Ghost, which is a pseudo-sequel to this film. They're not really connected in any way other than crew.
Yeah, and they connected it by title so they could make money.
Right. But they produced a film from 1966 called The Third Eye. It's a horror film with Erica Bach and Franco Nero. And I was wondering, have you ever heard of that or know any of it?
I have heard of that movie. I have not yet tracked it down. But
I think that'd be very interesting to find out what that's about.
Oh, we'll find
Erica Bach and Franco Nero, I mean, it's on.
That's like the center of the universe. That's how babies are made.
The same guy did the cinematography for The Ghost. His name is Raffaele Maschiacci. That's my best attempt.
Yeah, I think Raffaele Maschiacci sounds good to me.
And you had a note on another cast crew member.
Yes, Ornella Micheli is the editor on this film, and she worked with Fulci, and she worked with Joe D'Amato, and she worked on a number of spaghetti westerns. But yeah, she was Italian horror fans owe her quite a bit as well. She
edited The Psychic for Fulci and Don't Torture a Duckling.
Yes.
She edited Whale Omega, or Beyond the Darkness, and Anthropophagus.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Mono.
dude, that's just awesome. Can you imagine being that awesome?
No, I cannot.
Shit. So you would put this. Where would you put this in your Italian Gothic horror? I would say at 2, behind The Ghosts, because I love The Ghosts so much, and I feel like this is a better film than The Ghost, in a way, because it's really smart, and I haven't watched The Ghost. I watched The Ghost several times, but it doesn't make me want to get all excited and talk about it, because Horrible Dr. Hitchcock, there's so much cool shit here. I mean, you got skulls, and fog, and cobwebs, and thunderstorms, and blood-curdling screams. You got a black cat, which is thrown into almost every shot it's in. This black cat should get stunt double credit, because when they show Margarita's coffin for the first time, they're about to fade out, and then they throw the cat right onto the coffin. It's so obvious. I love that part. And then it gets thrown into the scene later in the movie too.
I don't know if we didn't explicitly make it clear, but there is no domestic release for this film, whereas you can pick up The Ghost in quite a few different of the cheap DVD packs.
There's also a double feature of The Ghost and Dead Eyes of London. And that copy is in widescreen. That might be Retro Media who did that one. Retro Media has done some great releases in the past, so if you like The Ghost and you decide to upgrade from your Mill Creek or whatever it is pack, then the widescreen's nice. It's still not remastered, really. That would be freaking great. But
actually, in a side note, I've got The Ghost in a pack I bought at Walmart called Horror Do Not Watch Alone.
I've seen that one.
it actually starts differently. It starts earlier than the Ghost on the Dead Eyes of London
What?
double back. It's nothing of any importance, but it starts earlier on in the scene where
The seance, right?
it starts out with a seance.
Which I love.
And yes, and it actually starts off earlier. I think you start off outside the house, and then you go inside the house. And I think there's some seconds trimmed off of the one on Dead Eyes. I could be wrong.
Oh, it could be that the beginning of their print of it was all screwed up.
Right, it could be, very much so.
Trim it at the beginning.
But I would put this number 2 on the Italian Gothic horror list of mine. Behind Black Sunday, I'd put The Ghost right behind this, and then hot on the Ghost's heels, I'd put Castle of Blood, because I really enjoy that one. If you're an Italian Gothic horror fan, you need to see The Horrible Secret of Dr. Hitchcock.
Yeah. It's listed as Terror of Dr. Hitchcock on
there was
YouTube.
a VHS floating around, I think from Sinister Cinema.
Yeah, I have a... In fact, now that you mention it, the SC logo is in the beginning of the tape. At the beginning of the one online on YouTube. So that's definitely the Sinister Cinema one.
One other piece of trivia I have, which is hilarious. A lot of times these guys, they would anglicize their names in the credits.
Oh, this is
which
good.
is why Luigi Carpentieri is anglicized as Louis Mann. One guy, and he is the decorator, has the unfortunate name of Frank, and I'll let you tell him.
His name is Frank Smokecox.
Smokecox.
Which means nobody liked that dude.
No, and it's not like smoke, C-O-X. It's S-M-O-K-E-C-O-C-K-S. Smokecox.
Yep, it just, you can't deny what's going on there.
No, I think probably some English-speaking person played a horrible trick on him.
Yeah,
You know what? I did check, and that's in the English language print too.
What was that?
That's in the English language, the English dub too.
Oh, that's right.
Fox, yeah.
That credit does not change for anybody's safety.
No.
I really love this movie. It's smart. It's fun. It's gothic as hell. I hard time thinking of anything that I like better at the moment, other than The Ghost, which somehow just is. The more I look into the horrible Dr. Hitchcock, the more I just. Ugh, how about if I complete a fucking thought? Fuck. Hold on, let me look at my notes for a sec. What the fuck?
While you're looking, I would say that I would be up at any time to do an episode on The Ghost. I enjoy The Ghost quite a bit.
I would any excuse to watch The Ghost over and over again.
Yeah.
I guess I was done and I didn't want to be done. I think I'm really done. I think that wraps it up.
Okay.
So that was the horrible Dr. Hitchcock. I thought I had more to say, I did not. A few little things. We now have a Facebook page. So if you find Hello, This is the Doom Show at Facebook, please like us, add us, love us. Feel free to post any comments there. You can also post comments on the Cinema Somnambulist blog, or you can hit us up at richardsplash@gmail.com. You can find the archived episodes at doommoviethon.com under our podcasts. We will get to your comments and everything. We'd love to hear from you guys. If you have questions about movies, hit us up at any of those places. We'll be glad to read your letters on the air, read your comments, or dismissive, stuck-up things you might say about us. You damn popular kids.
Mm-hmm.
You damn rich kids and your rich kid morals and ways. I have no idea how to end this episode. But yeah.
I think that wraps it up.
No, it doesn't. It can't be over. No.
But it is over.
It is over. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Say goodbye, Brad.
Bye, Brad. I love you too. 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 I love you too.